Dance is a hobby for some, a passion for few and life itself for others. And for Odissi dancers Surupa and Bijayini Satpathy, it is devotion. Touted as one of the most graceful pairs on stage, here is the duo talking about the power of two.
I came in 1990, exactly June 10th, 1990, actually, I set foot here. And it was just a month after Nrityagram was inaugurated. There was none of these buildings were here. There was just the dance hall was being constructed and a couple of the cottages, and the Odissi Gurukul had just been built. My first impression was a wicker gate with little bells on it. I remember that very clearly. There wasn't even a proper gate. And I walked in and I saw Pratima Bedi, whom we call Garima, standing there with the architect, discussing something. You know, the Sanchi kind of entrance gate, she was standing there. And I remember very big eyes, you know, when she looked at me the first time, and I was thinking, immediately this personality has an impact that you don't quite forget, ever. And something happened, I think the minute I set foot here, I knew that I was going to be here. But I had no idea I was going to be here for 24 years. So I came here as the first batch of students, and then I was the only one who stuck around and finished the course. And that may be Pratima. Coming back to the crow, we have a story about that. And she's saying, yes, 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 yes. Anyway, so I came back. I never really went home again, other than to see my family. That's in Delhi.
Delhi, okay.
And this has been my home ever since.
I came in 1993 to join the ensemble that was for the first time touring the US. So I was just a dancer who would dance, go back home. But pretty similar to her experience, I set foot here and then I said, this is my place, this is where I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I definitely knew more than 24 years. So I knew that I'd build home here, and that idea came in instantly, and I'm so glad it has happened. But since I was just a hired dancer, I was supposed to go back, and it was the time where I was waiting for my graduation results to come out. And unfortunately for me, I had done very well. Surupa really worked with me through that time. It was very hard for me to get through to my parents about this decision of mine, and there was major emotional trauma going on at home. And I think she was there with me on telephone almost every other day, saying that it'll pass, just come here somehow, and different ways of basically telling me don't give up.
I have to say her personality was incredibly boring at that time.
This is going on camera. Okay, this is record for life, on record for life.
No, but she was the most spectacular Odissi dancer I had seen, honestly. I mean, and the very first time on that tour, I actually choreographed the first piece, which became like an item number for us. It was a moksha piece that we did together, based on Radha and Krishna. And it was something extraordinary because she had danced for almost 15 years before she came here, and she was an Odissi dancer. I had danced here for just 3 years. But as soon as we started dancing together, it was almost like we'd always been dancing together. It really did not need that much discussion, that much
coordination, and paying attention to when you start.
It was almost like the way that we had approached learning had been very similar. So I instantly knew that this was an unusual kind of chemistry.
You know what Garima called us? Xerox copies. First time she saw us dance together, she said, you look like Xerox copies of each other. So basically that's how the visual was. We danced together, and sometimes we were even shocked to see photographs in movement, caught in movement, and we would be right in an odd shape, but just at the same. So I think more than how we approach learning, it's also because of our approach to learning in the similar way. We developed similar sensibilities. When we dance, how we hear the music, how we hear the rhythm, or how we interpret them was something perhaps very similar. I learned a lot from Surupa. That much I have to say, because when I came as from a system which was very closed, very conservative, and in terms of my upbringing also, and where I danced, and in Orissa being the base of Odissi, it was very different in the way I learned. Here there was a lot of freedom, and there was suddenly a lot of exciting relearning for me of the same things I had learned. Surupa brought the whole sense of understanding of line and form in the way we execute the simplest of the movements to me. And since then, she had to tell me once, and then I had to just, make a formula for myself and then apply it to everything else. So my journey was extremely exciting with her for the first 3 years, and I learned a lot. I learned to speak, I learned a lot of stuff from her.
3 years into a dance form is very different in Nrityagram than outside. 3 years, 12 to 18 hours a day.
24/7.
24/7, 365.
6 days
So
a week.
it's
a
like
lot.
going 12 years to a dance
And that
school.
is why we could dance together. I came after 12, 13 years of training, which was started with twice a week, but then it became 4 times a week, but not as much as we do here with conditioning and everything.
Yeah.
So it's definitely we were
It's a completely different program. I mean, when I teach students, I always tell them, please don't tell anybody how many years you learned from me. Please tell them how many hours you actually spent in my class. So it's very clear that what I've taught you or what you're learning from me is very specific to the number of hours you are also putting in. Because that is the difference between living in a Gurukula and living at home. We live like a community of dancers where there is a lot of freedom to think, to grow,
to experiment,
there is to explore, I would say. So there is no, we are really not bound very much. I am not bound in my head at all. So it really helps. I don't know. I'm just going with the flow and seeing where it is that my life takes me, my dance takes me. And dance for us is life. There is no difference.
So basically with our natural instincts, I think she was very creative from the beginning. She started working with the old choreography, and I became very interested in all the different kinds of training and looking at the old training, then studying more and going into that. I think at some point after Lynn took over, she gave us some status designations, artistic director and director for training or something like that. Yes. So then we acquired those posts.
We've also, our basic vocabulary has changed. The way we train has changed dramatically because she's been working with the training vocabulary.